I don't know what on earth was in the coffee of Democrats this morning, but put it in there every single morning because my goodness, what a day in the House of Representatives. So we already talked about Hunter Biden showing up at this hearing where they're deciding on whether or not they're going to hold Hunter Biden in criminal contempt of Congress for not complying with the subpoena from Republicans, where they want him to go behind closed doors and sit for a deposition. Hunter Biden has been saying, I'll come and testify, but it has to be publicly because of Republicans' track record with manipulating those closed door depositions and lying about what really went on. So then Hunter Biden shows up while they're debating whether or not he should be held in criminal contempt. And again, I covered that in a past segment. Fantastic. And now I have for you Jamie Raskin taking this hearing as an opportunity to just put the entire party, the Republican Party, on blast, and Trump specifically. And so let's take a look at some of these moments, starting off with this.
And it was a great business grift for a guy who went bankrupt several times. And yet, out of some misguided partisan loyalty, you're going to stick with him. I don't even know why you stick with him. He was a Democrat longer than he was a Republican. He wanted to run for president on the Reform Party. You guys have been taken over by an absolute con man. And now you're acting like members of a religious cult who don't even remember how you got in the first place.
Jamie Raskin was on something in a good way today. It was fantastic to see. And you'll see that in this next clip where he dives into the corruption of Trump while he was president. And that could be referring to a bunch of stuff, specifically the report that House Oversight Democrats released outlining the millions upon millions of dollars that Trump was funneled directly from foreign governments through his businesses while he was president. The specifically outlined, backed up by receipts figure was $7.8 million, but obviously the full amount is likely much more. And so it's important to, especially in a hearing where Republicans are saying, we care so much about the corruption of Biden that they can't prove, and he was being funneled money from foreign countries. Again, no evidence of that. But that's supposed to be something they're concerned with because they really would never want to see a president be funneled money from foreign countries. So they fabricate allegations of that against Joe Biden. But then there's actual evidence of that exact thing happening when Trump was president, again, through his businesses, foreign governments specifically, not just foreign entities, but foreign governments. And they don't care when it comes to Trump. Here is Jamie Raskin.
I mean, John F. Kennedy was offered citizenship by the people of Ireland because they loved him so much, and he refused to take it, saying that even though it didn't violate the letter of the Emoluments Clause, it violated the spirit of the Emoluments Clause. And Donald Trump converted the presidency into an instrument for self-enrichment. He raked in millions of dollars from the most corrupt governments on earth, who came in with specific favors that we document in our report that they got from Donald Trump. I beseech my colleagues, I will read any book, any magazine, any speech you've...
And I will link this full report in the description of the YouTube video. Stunning. This is what, as I've said, I think multiple times on bonus shows, you can get access to the bonus show at lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. This is what Republicans dream every night of having on Joe Biden. When they baselessly accuse Biden of all these different things, they dream of being able to put together a report like House Oversight Democrats did with actual evidence on Trump. Democrats have. They wish they could have that on Biden. And so it's of course aggravating that they wouldn't care at all. Separate from the Biden allegations, it's so aggravating that they wouldn't care at all that their guy, they want to choose Trump. And along with his attempts to block peaceful transfer of power, the fake elector scheme, pressuring local officials to engage in fraud, along with his promises to lock up his political enemies in a second term and make the government come down hard on media outlets he doesn't like, and his calls for the termination of the Constitution. On top of all of that, you have this blatant corruption, blatant profiteering while he was president of the United States. So it's really aggravating they don't care about that by itself. But then it's triple aggravating based on them accusing Biden of those very things in relation to corruption, that they don't care at all about what went on during the Trump administration.
Given that you want me to read this report and come back and tell me if you think Donald Trump did the right thing in converting the White House into a for-profit operation. No other president in American history has come anywhere close. And you ask why he's so determined to stay in office that he would unleash violence against his own vice president, the brother of your colleague, of our colleague. Why would he do that? It's because it was a money-making operation, and it was a great business grift for a guy who went bankrupt several times. And yet, out of some misguided partisan loyalty, you're going to stick with him. I don't even know why you stick with him. He was a Democrat longer than he was a Republican.
And then it goes into the clip that we saw previously. So good on the part of Raskin. I have one clip from Jasmine Crockett that I want to show as well. But I do think we're going to see fewer and fewer public hearings on the part of Republicans. Every single one just seems to go so poorly for them. I mentioned in the past segment the same thing with the public impeachment inquiry hearing, their first big one. Now we're going to expose the corruption of Joe Biden. And it just imploded. It backfired so poorly. And then reportedly, James Comer behind the scenes was being, I think the word that they used was admonished. He was being admonished by his party for how poorly the first impeachment inquiry hearing went, because it really did. And as I mentioned in the past segment, when Democrats have the chance to, in the room with Republicans, call them out and point out the ridiculousness of this entire Joe Biden, Hunter Biden investigation, and when Republicans don't have real strong control over every single moment of the hearing, and when they don't have the super cushy situation that they have during Fox News interviews or Newsmax interviews, it all falls apart for them. And that was on full display today. Here's one more example. Jasmine Crockett, take a look.
Let me tell you why nobody wants to talk to y'all behind closed doors, because y'all lie. That's just the bottom line. You have done it thus far in this investigation. You have done it this far as it relates to this committee. In every single hearing, y'all spin. I don't know how y'all are still standing right now, because you should be quite dizzy from all the spinning that you're constantly doing when it comes to spinning the truth. You talk about free and fair elections, but you back a guy who we know tried to steal the election. And this isn't about what Democrats have to say. Let me remind you, for those of you that don't know how the justice system works, it's not a matter of the president went in and indicted Trump, but we are talking about grand juries. Grand juries are comprised of American citizens, and the people that have entered pleas of guilty that will be flipping on your leader in a minute, they are Republicans. I do want to point that out.
So important. The idea that Trump is the victim of the most incredible, well-coordinated conspiracy in the history of the United States, where all of these prosecutors, Joe Biden controlling it all, and he also doesn't know where he is, but he's also controlling everything, and these judges and grand jurors, regular citizens, as she mentioned, and witnesses who worked loyally for Trump and are now turning on Trump. Every single person is a part of this grand conspiracy to take Trump down for some reason. And they really believe, or at least they say they do, that's more plausible than Trump just potentially violated the law. Or at least there's enough evidence that he potentially did to go ahead and prosecute him. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel.